Another branch of astrology is mundane astrology, which includes the study of national events, while electional astrology represents the best time to move forward with certain plans of actions. The varying use of astrology goes on and on, with applications that change, but the principles of astrology remain the same, as they are transferable, as they are the universal principles which instigate change. What are the components that make up a horoscope? First, there is the sun, which represents the conscious mind. This is the area of the horoscope that people are most aware of. Often when asked, what is your sign? Most people answer with their sun sign, i.e. Taurus, Virgo, Gemini. Next, there is the moon sign. The moon represents the subconscious personality and the emotions. It is also symbolic for relationships with one's mother. Often the moon sign represents the core aspects of a personality. However, the realization of it is hidden, as it slowly uncovers as her personality unfolds. Within the horoscope, the ascendant represents the horizon, the surface-level personality that others see. The ascendant is a projection of yourself that others see within the first 4 minutes of meeting you, and how you adapt your personality in relation to others. Mercury represents this character style of communication. Since Mercury often travels so closely to the Sun, it is usually in the same sign as the Sun sign. However, in some horoscopes, Mercury drifts off into another sign. For instance, a Virgo Sun may communicate like a Libra, hiding one's perfectionism and creating the need to communicate diplomatically with others. Mars represents aggression, energy, and action. It also rules competitive drive and ambition. On the negative side, an overemphasized Mars rules war and combativeness. Venus represents love, pleasure, and aesthetic beauty, the feminine nature and desire for harmony within all of us. Jupiter represents wisdom, philosophy, and religion, all high-standing ethics and long-lasting principles in life. Saturn represents structure and limitation, all the things that weigh us down and bind us down. Mathematics, law, old age are all representations of Saturn. From the traditional system of astrology, 3 new planets have been discovered since then. The first was Uranus, discovered in 1781, close to the time of the revolutions, as many social revolutions like the French Revolution and Industrial Revolution and Age of Enlightenment had occurred during those times. This is interestingly coincidental, as Uranus itself represents the planet of revolution, therefore rules all erratic and unpredictable changes. Uranus is also responsible for technology as well. In the metaphor of astrology being in the music of the spheres, Uranus is considered the higher octave of Mercury, as Mercury is considered the mind of man, and Uranus the mind of God as it rules ideas. Pluto rules the underworld. Pluto was discovered in 1930, close to the time of World War II, as World War II represents a time of great Plutonian energy. Pluto is a planet of power. In relation to the symbolism of power, it has the ability to destroy things completely, only for them to be reborn. The nuclear bomb is an example of Plutonian power. It rules extremes of human will. Sexuality is also ruled by Pluto, since it is a dominating force beyond the individual ego. Neptune is a planet of illusion. Neptune is responsible for all distorted realities, such as dreams, lies, and drugs. Neptune was discovered in 1846. As Neptune is considered the higher octave of Venus, it is associated with art, particularly film, music, and photography.
For example, if we're feeling restless or impatient or threatened and we feel we have to assert or stand up and set a limit or act in our own self-interest, that would be, that feeling, that impulse, would be the voice of Mars. So just so every planet and sign have a certain feeling quality or impulse that's the individual experiences subjectively.
Each planet resides in different signs. For instance, the Sun resides in Taurus, giving the person's sun sign lending to a personality which favors stability and moon resides in Pisces, making them dreamy, romantic, and sensitive on a subconscious level. Mercury resides in Scorpio, giving penetration and forcefulness in their communication, and Venus is in the sign of Leo, making their affections proud and forthcoming. This is an example of how an individual can have a complex horoscope. A common argument made among skeptics is that reading the attributes of different signs, often people can identify with any one of the signs. Traditional astrology does not argue this, as all signs are within a horoscope within a varying priority and consistency within the horoscope. While everyone does have a little bit of Libra and a little bit of Leo, the consistency of that behavior varies from person to person. The planets also reside in different houses that represent different external areas. This demonstrates how certain energies can be best channeled. The first house represents the projection of the self in relation to others, the physical body and appearance. The second house rules finances and possessions. The third house represents communications and commonly used tools on a day-to-day basis. The fourth house represents the home. The fifth house represents fun, recreation, activities done with carefree expression. The sixth house represents routines such as work and hygienic activities. The seventh house represents close partnerships, marriages, and business partnerships. The eighth house represents other people's money, debts, loans, and inheritances. The ninth house represents travel and journey. The 10th house, career and status in society. The 11th house, acquaintances and one's lighter social circle. The 12th house, dreams, secrets, and things buried beneath the unconscious. While the planets abide in various houses and signs, they interact with each other planets which greatly affect their expression. The energies may be enhanced or frustrated depending on how well the energies may complement each other. These interactions are measured by the angles they make in relation to each other. The major angles are 0 degrees, conjunction, 60 degrees, known as a sextile, 90 degrees, the square, 120 degrees, trine, and 180 degrees, opposition. Certain angles are more harmonious and others more challenging. These angles represent the various tensions of the mind, such as a 90-degree angle with Mercury, the mind, and Neptune, the imagination, may make an individual predisposed to daydreaming. Concentration may be challenging for this individual. However, channeled creatively through arts, they may learn to succeed with this challenge.
Well, the whole concept of aspects, mathematical relationships between planets, are based on harmonics. When planets are together, I mean, that's basically number one, harmonic. When you get planets on opposite each other, that's the second harmonic. If you took every sign in its opposition as being the same sign, you get half the zodiac. And so an opposition is like a conjunction. If you take a fourth harmonic, it's like the square, the 90-degree relationship. And so we say that the third harmonic, which is the division of the heavens by 3, instead of a 360-degree circle, we look at the 120-degree increments. Those are considered soft or harmonious. They flow easily when planets are 1/3 of the universe apart from each other. Whereas if they're a quarter of the zodiac apart from each other, they're said to be in square, which is a little more challenging, a little more discordant, it's a little more difficult. So we do look at harmonics, we do look at divisions of the zodiac and the relationships of planets from each other, see if they're, together, opposite each other, trine, which is 1/3 of the distance, or square to each other, or 6, which is a sextile, and we give meaning to that. There's a certain ease or difficulty that goes with each of those mathematical relationships.
The reason for astrology for its decline was its association with fortune-telling and fatalism. Relating again to our rejection of religion, the pride and free will was further emphasized, in which capitalistic society and democracy were symbols of that thinking. But exactly how accurate can astrology actually make predictions?